Let's discuss about population ecology. Population ecology is the study of the population. So what is population? Population refers to a group of individuals of a single species that live in the same area. So for example here, how many populations do we have here? We have here two populations. Again, ang population, ang tawag sa group of individuals of the same species. On this case, we have two groups, di ba? Here, we can divide this one into two groups based on their species, diba? On this case, we have the group of the rabbits and the group of the grasshoppers. Again, ang tawag sa grupo of the same species, we call them as population. Then let's discuss about population size. Population size is now the total number of individuals in a population. So here again, we have two populations here, the population of rabbits and the population of the grasshoppers. On this case, what is the population size of the rabbits? Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have here 9. So that's the population size of rabbits here. How about the population size of the grasshoppers? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here we have 8 grasshoppers. That's the population size of grasshoppers on this case. Next, let's talk about population density. It refers to the concentration of individuals within a species in a specific geographic locale. So in this case, let's try to see. Okay, let's try to divide this one into regions. Okay, let's divide this into four groups or four areas. So on this case, on this area, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in this case, we have 10 rabbits on this area. On this same area, it's the same area here. So here we have 1, 2, 3. So in this case, we have here we have 3 rabbits in the same area. So in this case, we can see that this one has a higher level, or this one is more dense, diba? It is more dense compared to this one on the right, because this one, the individual species are concentrated within a small area. So again, that's the difference of population density. It refers to the concentration. On this case, on the right, this is not concentrated because as you see here, the population or the individual rabbits are spread out from each other. Let's talk about population dispersion. From the word dispersion, it refers to the spread of organism in a particular location. Now, there are 3 different patterns of dispersion. This can be uniform, random, or clump dispersion. Let's try to see this one. Here are nesting penguins. So these are penguins, or these are Maltena penguins. And here they are actually nesting eggs. So here they have eggs here inside. So they are taking care of eggs. So in this case, they're highly territorial because other penguins actually they might steal the eggs of the others. So on this case, they maintain a specific distance away from each other. So on this case again, they are territorial and they have a fixed or a constant distance from each other. So this one is a uniform dispersion because again, each of them, they maintain a specific distance against each other. So this one is an example of a uniform dispersion. Let's have another one. Here we have here a dandelion. Here, the seeds of this plant, it spread widely and sprout everywhere or wherever they happen to fall. So as you see here, of course, ang seeds, it can be spread by the wind, right? So in this case, obviously, this seed can just grow everywhere. So as you see here, some of these plants can grow on the same place, on some place kay walay dandelions. As you see here, on this case, the spread is random, diba? So it just, the spread of these organisms can grow everywhere. So in this case, this one is an example of a random dispersion. How about this one? So here we have schools of fish. Schools of fish, ang tawag sa group of fish that is together. So this one is obviously a clump dispersion because they are in a clump, or they form a clump, or they form a group. The same thing with this one. This one is a herd of elephants. This one is also a clump dispersion. So this elephant, so they stay together. So again, these are the three types of population dispersion. We have uniform, random, and clump dispersion. Of course, ang population size ng isang ecosystem, of course, it can change over time, di ba? Of course, it can increase, right? So it can increase, for example, if this rabbits will give birth, di ba? So of course, this can increase the population size. And also, aside from that one, immigration. So immigration, so when other organisms enter that area. So that again, that's immigration. Also, the population size of this one can also decrease, right? It can decrease by death. So obviously, if there's example kana forest fire, for example, it can kill rabbits, and of course, it will change or decrease the um, population size in that area. Also, we have emigration. So when some of these rabbits will go out from this area. Again, immigration when they come into that place, emigration if they go out from that place. Again, both of this can change. It can increase or decrease the population size in a particular ecosystem. Let's discuss about population growth. Let's say uh, the resources of a particular organism is unlimited. So, example, unlimited food, unlimited water, unlimited resources. What do you think will happen to its population over time? So over time, it will increase over time so as it will get faster and faster, diba? Over time. So this one is an exponential growth. This is when the population growth becomes faster and faster as it gets larger. Pero obviously this one is not very, or it's of course in the real world this is not true, diba? Because obviously all resources have limit, diba? So obviously no resources is unlimited. Obviously at sometimes the food will uh, it will decrease over time. So again, nothing is unlimited here on Earth. So of course again that's the more that's so our resources are limited. So of course that's part of the real world. So on this case, obviously, over time, it will increase. Pero over time, obviously, maging constant ang population. Again, it will become constant because on this case, again, there's a limit on the resources. So, diba, of course, it since mayroong limit ang resources, of course, it can limit the number of population. So, of course, it cannot maintain a higher population size, diba? So again, over time, the uh, the uh, the population size will remain constant because of the limits in the environment. This one is a logistic growth. It's when the population size almost remains constant if it reaches the carrying capacity. So in this case, let's say this one is the carrying capacity. So on this case, this is the capacity to maintain a a population size, and again that's based on the limited amount of resources. So in this case, again, the carrying capacity is the maximum population size of a biological species that can be sustained by that specific environment. Again, there's a limit on the population size because again, all the resources are limited. And again, ang kanang limit, that's the carrying capacity. Now, what controls population growth? This can be biotic or abiotic. So ambiotic, so it's the factors influenced by living organisms. For example, food. Of course, ang food are of course they are also living organisms, right? Like fish or plants, something. All of these are living organisms. Obviously, food this limits the size in a population. Aside from food, we have the mates. Obviously, force to grow in population size. Of course, all organisms must reproduce, and of course, if limited yung uh, partner, of course, it will limit the rate of the growth or the reproduction of that particular population. Also, we have competition with others, still abiotic component or abiotic factor. Abiotic, we have space. Obviously, pag less ang space, then less organisms can occupy that place and can grow on that place. We also have amount of sunlight available. Obviously, sunlight is very important, right? Because all yung yung base or yung foundation ng ecosystem, of course, it needs the sunlight, of course, because all living organisms, they depend on the producers, which are the plants, and again, plants, they need sunlight to reproduce, and of course, all the other consumers, they depend on the amount of sunlight available that is absorbed by the plants.